Right, hello, how are we doing? Welcome back to another episode, another guest episode because they seem to be doing a lot better because me and Sam are clearly not as entertaining enough. So today we've got Joe on. So for anyone who doesn't know, Joe is a classic physique competitor and ex-men's physique athlete, and rightfully so, he's not doing men's physique anymore. But we sort of want to get you on because a lot of your content is kind of like what we sort of look for in the sense of like not really bullshit, cracking on with things, training hard. And I think whenever people sort of like look at content nowadays, it's kind of like the opposite. It's kind of like the most like what's the most gimmicky thing you can do to get a couple of clicks, couple of views. When in reality, like the stuff which you post, like whenever I had a look through, it's very much like just fucking crack on with things and you put it out in a good sort of way. So if you want to give a bit more
Yeah.
insight into yourself, we'll go from there.
Yes. No, I agree. I think with Instagram, it's a funny one, right? Especially being a coach, because growing your Instagram, you want to be putting out these little short, like clickbaity things. But as
Mm.
a coach, like you kind of need to actually explain yourself and like have long form content. Like I'm fully accepting the fact that, when I put out a reel that's 90 seconds, it's not going to blow up, but the right people will see it, and the ones that will take information from it, even if like a few people it improves their life or improves their progress, then it's worked. And especially as a coach, like sure you want things to blow up, but you want actually to be
Bring
delivering good
value.
quality value.
Yeah.
Fact.
Because like realistically, any of us could probably put up a posing reel from like a prep or something when we're like a week out, shredded. Maybe it's like
Yeah,
show day morning or something, you're full of fucking super droll or something, and you look ridiculous. And yeah, you'll get a couple of thousand views, but those views aren't going to be coaching signups, aren't going to be anything.
it's the clear representation I've seen of this is when I was on prep towards the end of prep, I get loads of engagement. Like my reels were doing really well shredded, fucking posing trunks, etc. I was getting no sign-ups. I was, still fine with coaching and whatnot, but the towards like the last four or 5 weeks, didn't get too many leads, right? As soon as I finished prep and I was like, do you know what? I'm just gonna stop posting my physique. Like I'm just gonna start putting out proper, go back to informative content, talking reels every day, training footage. Bro, my account started growing more.
Yeah.
You'd think it would be the opposite. I was getting like 100, 200, 300 saves on training vids, and then I started getting loads of inquiries. So it's like that's just the true. I saw it firsthand within like a couple of weeks how if you're a coach, don't just be posting your physique. You actually need to be delivering value.
Yellen said this as well, didn't he, in the last podcast, Josh, didn't he?
Yeah.
Legit, like being authentic about what you actually want to do, be authentic, be yourself, but also aim towards, if you want to be an athlete, post your athlete shit. If you want to be a coach, you need to post your coaching shit. You need to
Yeah,
do more coaching online.
it's both, isn't it? You need to do both.
You need to
Like
do both, yeah.
it's everyone. To be honest, like especially as a coach as well, people sign up to you. Like everyone, let's face it, the UK is full of knowledgeable coaches who
Yeah.
know their shit. What is going to separate you from them is whether someone connects with you, your story, your personality, the type of methods that you have, and how they're going to see that. Well, you talking to the camera, putting your point across, but also sharing your journey. There's got to be like that value there. But when you do share your journey, there's value there. Like when I put my training up, it's like paragraphs of shit, why I'm doing it, methodology, it's not just right, there's my workout. There's actually some knowledge behind it.
That's me. That's fucking me. Oh man, just shot a fucking shots at me.
No, but
Uh,
that's something which I used to do as well. Is like if I was to scroll back through my Instagram like 2 years ago, I would whether it be a reel or like a post, I'd be like, "This is what I got this week." That was it. Whereas like in reality now, I'm like, "Well, you can see what I've got this week because you can count my reps, you can see what load I'm using." When in
Yeah,
reality, we actually talk about the reasons as to why you're doing things. People actually like resonate with that a lot better.
yeah,
For example, even like if it's talking about reasons why you're not using the most load possible, which I think is there's a bit of like not an argument going on like social media at the moment, but I think there's a lot of like discussion regarding like how much load you should use and how much load you should warrant to use, etc. And I'm all for like learning to train hard in a good way of doing that is trying to lift heavy because you're going to force yourself to work harder. But then you almost need to scale back to make sure that you're training accurately. Because a lot of people nowadays is they'll just they're like, well, I can pick up 100 kilos off the floor to row it, but I can't really do a row, but I can pick it up anyway, so I'll just do that. But then if you
Yeah.
turn it and say, oh, this was funny, etc., people try to just say it's fine, but it's not going to really build you much tissue. So
Yeah.
that's where like I try and
I'm a bit honestly, I'm a big believer in control, accuracy, like
yeah,
say whatever you want. I think like right now, do you know what is happening? There was a big push for like being optimal, right? Before single arm D-handle cable, pull downs, whatever. Like everyone was doing that, everyone was posting that. Now it seems like everyone is slating that and they're going full bro mode, you
yeah.
know,
It's like the
sending
pendulum
it
swung
like
down.
exactly. It's like people are trying to then be different, and it's like crazy, tempo, like not slow at all. Which it's like I feel like people are just trying to be different all the time. It's
Yeah,
like, why do you have to be so extreme on both sides?
Yeah.
Like for me, and I'm sure you both are the same as well. I want to be as controlled and accurate as possible whilst taking it to complete failure with aggression. It's like controlled aggression.
Let's say at least you have that term
Um,
which I took from yours, like this is the best term you've made, controlled aggression. Like it's such a that
yeah,
res when you said it on, I don't know if you said it on a story or a post, but I saw it, I was like,
yeah.
that resonates so fucking well, man. Like,
Because for me, right, like I get the argument of like, yeah, just get in and just rip weight. Like as long as you're enjoying it, sweet. Yeah, I do get that to a certain point. But if you are someone who prides yourself on being an athlete, right, who's trying to, climb the ranks, or you're a coach and you're teaching your clients, like I personally want to learn everything I possibly can on how to be as accurate as possible and, do things correctly whilst training hard as hell. Like, I don't know. I guess not everyone's like that. Some people are just like, I don't really care about like the nuances. I just want to get after it, but which is fair enough. But I'm not slating them, so I don't know why that camp has to slate this camp. Is like, just
I
I
always
don't
feel
know.
like there's one camp in the sense of like you need to have this alignment perfect for this because it works better with this and that. Then you've got the other people
Yeah,
arguing with whatever, but then you've got people in the middle who don't really care about what other people are saying. They're just like,
yeah.
I'm happy to do me, crack on with what you want to do. But I do think it's something which is like, as you said, like controlled aggression is literally how I think a lot of people should train anyway. But something which I kind of wanted to ask was, how do you find trying to teach people that? Because a lot of people, maybe if they're a bit earlier into not training, but let's say bodybuilding, right, might be thinking, well, if I'm aggressive, I need to be throwing things as hard as I possibly can. But then if I'm
Hmm.
controlled, I need to be the opposite. How do you find the best way is to explain that to someone, to almost like teach that in a way?
Um, Firstly, I think I'll just quickly go off on a tangent. I'll come back to it. I
Yeah.
think what gives that a bad rap, like super accurate tempo, is people learn that first. What they're trying to learn that first. We're preaching that because we know how to train hard. So it's like
Yeah.
we know how to train hard. So then we're like, right, how can I now improve as on top of that, which is getting accurate, right? So we don't get injured, etc. When we were young, like when I was 17, 18, getting after it in the gym and just you know training balls to the wall, max volume, loads of drops in. That taught us how to train, how to be very intense, right? And I think the problem because back then I didn't know any different. Whereas now, as good as it is that there's so much information out there, people know too much information from day one, and they're looking at, say, the likes of me, saying, "Right, manage fatigue," because I'm talking to people like who need that. Whereas if you're like 17, lifting one plate aside, like, do you need to manage fatigue?
I don't know what
No.
fatigue.
so
Yeah,
fatigue.
literally.
If
So
you don't
like,
if you don't know what fatigue is, because you haven't experienced it, you might be tired, but you've never
exactly.
experienced the point where you're like, okay, I need to manage this, I need to manage that. Just like I put a reel up about this the other day, and I was literally like, you don't, if you're that sort of age group and you haven't been in the gym for that long, don't worry about the most optimal setup in the world. Don't worry about, am I doing too much volume? You're probably nowhere near. Do as much volume as
Mm.
you pretty much have time for. If you can only train for 2 hours, train for 2 hours. Do as much as you possibly can, because that's what's going to teach you to grow as much as possible because you're going to learn to train
Because
harder.
you're also going to look, get fuck
Yeah.
ups through that process as well. You're going to learn eventually
Yeah,
when you start training harder, you might gain an injury, you might pick up a niggle, and then you start going, oh fuck, okay, now I need to bring it back and actually learn something new now to stop this happening in the future.
Yeah. But going back to your question, how I explain that to clients, it's like first and foremost, like when I have an onboarding process, I have like a set of webinars, like week one, week two. One of the first ones is training intensity, and it's just talking about not necessarily like how it's basically just explaining what training to failure is and how to progress your lifts. By that, I mean progressive overload. What that, what is that? Like some people who are so new to the gym don't even get the concept of having to log your lifts and progress reps and progress stimulus. They just think training hard and getting a pump is enough. But I don't know. I just make sure that clients understand that you have to do something harder every single session from the previous week to cause an adaptation. If you're
yeah,
going in the gym and just, exercising, like going in and just moving weights, getting a pump, like there comes a point where that is going to come to an end in regards to progression. And I just explained that, like, you have to make sure that it's harder than the week before. And then once that's kind of, understood, right, then, form footage and whatnot, then you can be, because, if someone's new, they're going to be sending you something like an RDL that's completely shit sometimes.
yeah,
So, like, you have to get them to train accurately, otherwise they're going to hurt themselves. But yeah, like it's just about teaching someone, not necessarily like obviously we're not there in person, so we can't be like, yeah, one more, but we can tell them that you need to make it harder week to week, simple as. And if someone gets the grips with that, then they are going to be training to failure.
Yeah. Is that something you then set? So you said your webinars. Is that something you would say, listen, is that like part of an onboarding pack that you do? You set clients up, you say, right, there's 3 webinars here which you need to sort of look at, but before even maybe looking at the plan type of thing.
Yeah,
Or
so like when I take someone on, I'm sure a lot like you, I'll do an onboarding video, right? Just
yeah,
talking through that plan. But I've also got sets of webinars that I've got like in a folder on my app. It's like week one, week two, week three, week four. Week one is going to be like all the most important things, like your the foundation of bodybuilding, aka training intensity. It's like a 30-minute thing talking about how to make sure that you are progressing each week, training accuracy, talking about what we just spoke about, like making sets as hard as possible, etc. Sleep, something like that, right? And then week two would be uh, how to balance off-plan meals around social occasions or, um, you know, I don't know, stuff like that, right? And as the weeks go on, it's like the more advanced stuff that the week one is the foundations that everyone needs to know. But I've had like really good responses from that, and I've never did that before, other than like the last 6 months. But it's just a way of not just I find like with coaching, like you can't just sit back and let questions come to you. Like I want to take a proactive approach with education. And I've taken that a lot from Kuba, to be fair. Like working with Kuba, like I just see how much he does, and I'm like, mate, if he
he
can do that,
he,
I'm like,
he, he does a lot of webinars as well, doesn't he, and stuff. He does
yeah,
loads. But yeah, I've seen it a lot because you obviously post that on your stories, and I even asked you a question about it, like what the format you do. But I guess because I've done a few, and I've been a bit like not unhappy with what I put out, but I want to redo them because I feel like it's an experience thing, you know. I think you've probably done that many now that you're just it's like the new topics come to mind and all this, and you do it again
yeah.
and again and again. But
Do you know how I get my topics? Like originally, I was just like I don't know, looking at other webinars, like the J for You YouTube and whatnot, and then I just rewrite it in my own way and put my own take. But now, obviously, I've done kind of all the foundations and the basics. Like I get a question from a client, and it might be like, "Oh, that would make a good topic." To be fair, like I had a question yesterday, and it was like, "How should I train?" Or how something about PMS, like when girls are on the period. How should I train around PMS? And like, is there any tips to hold discipline with craving? And I was like, that would just make. I obviously answered it for her, and then what I do is I then go away, do more research, and then come up with a webinar. So like, it's
nice.
like I don't know, like 5, 6 slides, might be 30 minutes, and I'll just have prompts on the slides on Canva to remind me of some shit to say, and then I'll just elaborate. Um, And then yeah, I'll just it get. Do you know what? It's not just about educating my clients. It helps me learn as well because
Yeah.
I'll know something about a topic, right? And I'll know a decent bit to answer someone on WhatsApp. But then I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a webinar on this, and I start learning all these other bits. And because I'm typing it out and I'm teaching them, it solidifies it in my brain. So it's like I have learned a lot from just putting this knowledge out, which obviously teaches my clients, but then I am getting more knowledgeable. So it's like just a win-win for me.
That's actually really good because I do struggle to retain. Like, do you know when you sit, do you know J3U? Obviously, you've been through it.
100%. But
Mate,
this is exactly what I'm
J3,
saying. Like I'll watch it and I'm like,
bro, you literally, your next day you're thinking, fuck me, what was on that thing yesterday?
You know
But,
what? You know what I
but
was doing when I was going through was I wouldn't type it because whenever I type something I don't remember. I would literally have a notepad and I'd be like, I'd just rewrite not what the text says, but what he actually says, what John says. But the issue is I can't write that quick. So I'm sometimes watching
yeah.
like a 40-minute video. It takes me like 3 hours to watch, and my hand's killing me. I got to go and train pulling like an hour. And it gets to the point where like
my hand's
Fatigue, bro.
busted, mate.
I was
Mate,
like, and this is why I use wrist straps. But then I was like, it makes everything he says makes complete sense. And I think even if you're listening to what, say, John says in those videos, even like the Trained by JP education stuff, like they're worded so well in terms of like what they're saying because they're literally talking directly to you. But then sometimes I feel like they almost say a bit too much because I'm like, I'm not going to remember this. Like if you're literally
Yeah.
like a beginner going into something like that, it's like I'm not going to remember this. I've got to rewatch this. I've got to re-listen to this three, four, 5 times and come back to it, which is great because you have it. But then that's why I think if you were, say, for example, Joe, you're getting like a WhatsApp message from someone and you're like, right, well, I need to go and research this. Let's say if it was something you didn't know, you're probably going to put more effort because you're thinking, I need to get an answer here. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why.
And I 100% agree. And what you just said there, I actually just, when I was making a webinar the other day about typing and writing it down, apparently, this is on an Andrew Huberman podcast because I made a webinar about like goal setting for the new year. I did a live call and I just wanted to get like loads of like fun facts and whatnot or myths about goal setting for some of the slides. And one of them, he said, like, if you're typing it out on your phone, it is completely pointless because you won't remember it. And this, like writing with our thumbs is such a new concept to human beings, like what, 10,
yeah,
20 years ago. We have obviously evolved to retain knowledge through writing with our hands. So if you're wanting to say, for example, set a goal that's going to stick up here, you need to write it pen and paper. So for me, like in my logbook, I've got like 3 goals, personal goals. When you put it pen to paper, it sticks in here. If you put it on type it, it means nothing.
that's what I got
It doesn't
that
actually.
because it's like my to-do list, bro. And like, this helps me remember so much. I write other shit on here as well, like questions and all sorts, but this helps me remember stuff so much more than just setting
Yeah.
reminders on my phone. It's actually a
Bro,
joke.
if I wasn't proper proactive with organisation, my organisation is so bad, bro. So I'm the same.
That's the other thing. The only thing I've never ever I've tried it. I've never got on with it. Is actually like a logbook with like a pen and paper.
Really?
I mate, I
Oh,
can't.
mate.
I don't know what. I'll just forget it wherever I go. I was like, I'll go to a new gym. Forget it.
Since day one, mate, logbook makes it
However, I
always.
like when I signed up with Tim, there wasn't a logbook in his sheets, so I literally inputted one, made it all the same colors and whatever, but I just inputted my own. So I was like, I need to have one. I'll do exactly what you're saying, but I was like, I can't not log my sessions, but I can't write it down because I'm like, it takes.
Really?
Yeah, that's one thing I can't write if I'm training.
I think Joe,
Yeah,
I think Cam set that for day one, didn't he, mate? I've always logbooks since Cam's days, mate.
I always start, bro. I start in the off season with all good intentions, and then I'll just stop. But this off season, I've got a logbook. I've been meticulous with it. To be fair, as it towards gets towards the end when I'm doing arms and that, I don't log it. I know what I'm
That's what
lifting.
I
I
was
might
gonna say.
write the weight down and
Yeah,
like stuff like that. But like my main compounds, I want to know
Yeah.
purely not because like let's face it, right? If you're in peak off season, you're eating food, you're sleeping good, you're going to be progressive, you're training failure. But it's more for me to know when I need kind of, I know a deload is coming. If things are, it's more to see it. I know I'm progressing. It's more to see when things are really slowing down.
Yeah.
Um,
Taking them half rich.
are you more on your logbooking when you prep?
I didn't logbook at all towards the end of
Really?
prep
'Cause
because,
in prep, I was literally like, right, I'm logging everything because I don't want my train to go down. And I was like, I'm gonna pretend I'm in off season. Like I'd literally be feeling horrendous.
yeah,
No, pretend I'm
But
feeling.
you know what? The only reason I don't is because I train with my training partner, Jim. And if
Okay.
Jim's listened to this, I've said it before, so you won't get offended. But he's like a bit autistic with the logging of the numbers, right? Sometimes he does all the setup, right?
Yeah.
So when we're like, want to say Lion King lateral, he'll remember all the setup and whatnot, and he'll remember what I did last week, the weight, and pretty much the reps as
Yeah.
well. So like,
Basically, so he does it
so
for you.
he's like, if you ever seen Rain Man, right?
I've
It's,
watched
if
that.
you've seen that, it's like someone who can count like matches
Mm.
really quickly. You've got the like, very very focused autism. But yeah, so for me, like he obviously just we're very very similar in strength with most shit. So like I just follow his lead on prep, and then we would just send it. Like I had no issues with strength on prep. Like my training stayed flawless to the end. I started losing a little. I obviously lost some pressing strength and that
Yeah.
just from body weight, but like my training did not fall apart, thank God.
Did you pay him
Some
for that?
people like,
Did you pay him for to be a personal logbook or what?
yeah, I've learned a lot from Jim to be honest, because like with me, there's two combinations of how I've progressed so much in the last say year and a half, like from that last off season to now. One, obviously being Makuba, right? He's super meticulous with a lot of stuff, but also training with Jim, because Jim takes a lot of pride and effort in the setup and execution. So when I obviously before I would train very hard and I'd try to be accurate and slow and whatnot, but my setup wasn't always bang on, right? But I wasn't, when you haven't got someone in person to point it out, but whereas he is like he's proper anal about the setup, like everything needs to be, spot on to last week, superstitious about like his straps and that. Like he hasn't got the proper straps, he's not deadlifting, like this type of stuff. So for me, I've learned a lot and taken so much from that. So it's like not only the meticulous nature and being like worked like a dog by Kuba, but also like that in not I'd already trained hard, but then the next level accuracy by the form fitters with Kuba, but also Jim calling me out. I'd always say to Jim like, don't ever be nervous to say I'm doing something wrong. Like if you ever see me doing something wrong, just say that's wrong, do this. And I've
That's
learned
probably
a lot.
that's the best combination. Josh, you taking notes, mate, before we move in together.
To be
Yeah.
fair,
But yeah, and like, go on.
that's which I'll try to. I've got like a half training partner. He's like he's there half the time. He's there.
Half a man.
Yeah.
He's got no legs.
I'm not too sure if you know Ethan Kavanagh,
I
natural
might have
dude.
seen him on Insta.
Yeah. Um, so we run very different training splits. So he's like not he's like a just a running split. So it'll be like 2 on 1 off,
Yeah.
1 on 1 off or something. It doesn't line up with mine. But then when we have the same session, we'll train together, whatever. And we'll always be like quite on it with each other. But then I feel like because we're very different, we struggle to take the other person's advice. Like I'm the person who I'm like, if I feel good, I'm gonna go heavier. Like if I'm deadlifting and I feel really good and peak off season, I'm gonna add 5 to 10 kilos, even if I've just got 3 reps the week before. That was probably me about 2 years ago. So I'm like, that's fun. I'm just gonna throw that on the bar. Whereas like, he's probably the opposite. I'm like, well, if you feel really good, you can get an extra 3 reps.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and
It's like,
that's a good point. Like
yeah, that's what
we,
I'm trying to bridge the gap on now. Like I'm very like even like this week I've tried reverting back to like what I did in prep because what I did in prep worked really well. And I'm trying not to let my ego take over, which I think is very common to see people doing.
100%, and that is what I'm doing right now. I'm off the back of that prep. I've learned so much on prep to make a better off season, not only with like food and appetite and digestion, but the main thing is being super patient with loading. Like you were saying, so easy to slap on a 10 aside when you're feeling good, but then all of a sudden the control slips, and the reps are so much lower. Like what I've been doing is it seems so pointless, but it's also fun as well. Like this, you've got to humble the ego, but like say for example on a Smith press, adding in like a 0.5 or a 1.25
Yeah.
each week and just try and match those reps. Like that's crazy. And I know it's like it's not that much weight, but that's an increase in stimulus.
Yeah.
Literally as plain as day, same control, same reps, but you've added a kilogram, bro. That across 20 weeks, you got the
Well,
same
you're
reps, but
accumulating, aren't you? It's an
yeah,
accumulation.
exactly.
So
And yeah, it's very easy when you're coming into the off season from prep to start getting carried away, and then that's when you get buried. That's when you get injured.
Yeah. I think that's something that I remember I tried doing that like 0.5 a kilo, but again, like this is maybe when I was a bit younger. I'm probably thinking about like 2019 or something like that. And I was like, yeah, well, I feel a bit better, so I'd add on 2.5. Then I'd add on a 5. And that's why I think like that almost like childish nature can come in. So I think what I was even what I asked this just before we even started the podcast, but I was going to say like what was like the main thing which you did a bit differently in like your most recent off season going from men's physique up to classic, and I'm assuming it's something in regards to training and like accuracy.
Training, yeah. Like honestly, everyone wants to talk about like training hard and like meathead mode, right? But it for me, it was the training accuracy, like actually getting way more technical, getting my setup right, making stuff super hard. Like I just say to myself, like, how can I make this set as hard as possible without adding load? And then obviously the goal is to get stronger, right? That's the fundamentals of bodybuilding, to get stronger, to push body weight up, right? But for me, I was in a position where, like, let's use this as an example. My chest was absolutely shocking. Yeah. I had massive doubts and my chest looked literally like a fucking pigeon chest, but I was pressing like 6.5 plates aside on an Atlantis incline. So I'm like, what's going on here, right? I'm training hard, I'm getting strong, but my chest is shit. Okay, so went back to the drawing board. I literally stripped it back off the advice of my coach and gym or whatnot. 3 aside, changed the whole setup, changed how I pressed, made it super super hard, and my chest just started growing. Same with my lat, same with my back. Just took everything back to baseline. Um, and that honestly has been a game changer. And another example of this, right? I got an injury at my knee injury, right? I was squatting like 6 plates per side on a hack. Not bad form by any means, but wasn't as good as it is now. But I got a knee injury and I could not squat for like 4 weeks at all. My knee was absolutely beaten. Like I had to wear a knee sleeve doing steps. Right. This was like maybe like just before prep. And I was like proper stressed. I was like, holy shit, like I'm just about to do my first classic season. I fucked my knee. Anyways, 4 weeks, no squatting, making everything else so, so hard. Like my leg press deloaded the weight by a half, leg extensions, doing like 30 rep sets. After 4 or 5 weeks, got back to squatting, went from 6 plates aside down to like 2.5, sinking it so deep, making it, pausing it for like 2, 3 seconds, 4 second negatives, right? After like 10 weeks, it started to really recover. And I just kept that control throughout the whole of prep and just worked it up slowly, slowly, and got up to like 3.5. Bro, my legs grew on prep from that approach. You can literally see in my first check-in when I'm like fat. My legs are bigger when I'm at the end, like literally size-wise, as grown muscle. I'm peeled and my legs are bigger than when I was like starting prep. And that's from that level of control. So I swear by it because me personally, I've got anecdotal evidence in front of me of myself that I know that taking that shit slow and making stuff nasty and like chase low, like not chasing low, want to get strong, but within the parameters of that nasty control.
I spoke to you about that, didn't I, on the on WhatsApp? I think start of prep when you actually removed because I said I was training without knee sleeves for a little bit, and you were like, "Yeah, do
Yeah.
it, like it's mint." Bearing in mind, I'm back to knee sleeves, but I saw someone else say without knee sleeves again today, and I was like, "It was Dara,
Yeah.
back." Yeah, he said about. So I'm curious to try it again. But if there was one thing you would say to, let's say, an amateur bodybuilder, maybe a similar position to you, who wants to bridge that gap, like you did with that accuracy, that control, like you said, is there one thing in the gym that you would say to like, one tip to get them out of that ego headspace and into that more, how can I make this fucking harder? Because I think a lot of people struggle.
Yeah.
They get the music on, they get amped up, and they go in and do the same fucking bullshit each week and they put the plates on. What would you say to them to say, listen, bro, just take it back a fucking step? Because some coaches won't say it to people. Cuba
Yeah.
said it to you. Some coaches won't say it to people. So what
So
would you?
like I think like with people like when they're loading up the weight and that's them trying to look you know, I like feed the ego, right? I feel like a good headspace to get in, and what the headspace I'm in is lifting hard, like with hard sets, with slow tempo, making it hurt. That's hardcore
Hmm.
to me. Like, I know obviously it seems cool lifting like ton of weight, but if you're lifting it sloppy, like to me, I just look at it and think, mate, I can do that, but I don't want to. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you see someone doing like whatever, like 500 kilo on a leg press, but it's sloppy, it's not deep, it's shallow. I'm like, I don't give a shit about that weight, mate. It's tragic. You know, do
You can
you know what
already
I'm
tell
saying?
that they'll be the heaviest lifters in the gym, but they'll have the smallest legs.
Yeah.
Literally, I just literally put out a reel about that today. It's like, I don't ever look at someone lifting super heavy on a leg press and with mid form and I think, yeah, that's sick. I see some lad, right? If I see a lad and he's got moderate weight, but he's sinking it deep, super slow, and you can just see the quad fibers, I'm just like, yeah, that's sick. I don't care what weight it is. If someone's nailing that intensity and the control, I'm like, yeah, that's it.
You think, you know
So I
what
kind of,
go on.
I would just say like get in the headspace of taking utter pride with your lifts. Like for me, I like I just want to be I just want to take pride in my lifts and like when I set it up, I'm thinking about things like how can I make this harder? It's ticking over in my brain, da 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 da. And I just see lifting like that as hardcore. So that's what I see as hardcore. Whereas, so if I then get into a set and like make it shit, I'm like pissed off with myself, and I'm like, I'm not going to put it on Insta because I think you know I've already set this precedent and standard of the way that I lift. So I guess it's kind of shifting your mindset away from thinking lifting super heavy is super cool and moving it away from that and thinking lifting with nasty control is cool. I don't know. It's just it's
You're
an
taking pride
adjustment.
in your physique at the same time, though, aren't you, really? Because you're almost mitigating injury at the same time as well as trying to progress it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doing,
And like I've had injuries. My knee, bro, that caused me major stress. When I busted my knee and I was like, I could barely walk and I just about to start my classic prep, I was like, what have I done? Like, why
what,
didn't
what,
I
what,
just
what
like,
did, what did you do it on? Do you know what you did it on or not? Was it just,
it was on what I was doing was I was sinking it down into the hack, right? Deep, but letting the quad come off and
Yeah.
just, you know, like I'm just sat in the hole, like no pressure on the quad, and it's just all on the tendon and on the ligaments on the knee, whatever. And then I'd turn it on, and it would just like, you know, put in
yeah.
tons of pressure and explode out. And I think just that over time, and it was like bursitis. I had a
Oh,
big swelling on the side of my knee, so I just, or I don't know whether it was bursitis, but it looked like when I researched it. So now, like, I'm thinking if you watch my stuff, like my knee flexion is crazy, but I've got my quads on. I'm so like paranoid about it, and yeah, I think that's the best word of advice, to be honest. Just and that it's we all think it's sick lifting super heavy, and you think, oh, whatever, like I don't need. Maybe I'll just send it. But bro, if you get injured, you'll regret it, mate. You'll fucking regret it.
What I try and like say to like clients who I have who are like thinking to compete or are competing, etc., is like if you're wanting to make as much as progress as you can to get as big as you can, so you're at the best possible look for stage or whatever, then you've got to have this middle ground from training hard and training a bit smarter, etc. Because if someone just wants to look a bit bigger and they're not thinking to compete, etc., teach them to train hard, do what they enjoy in the gym, they're going to grow. But then I think when you're thinking to be the best possible version to step on stage, for example, you going from men's physique to classic, that's when you're like, shit, I've got to do something different here. Because what I'm currently doing isn't doing, for example, like I know you mentioned like your chest, for example. So you're like, right, yeah, if I go to Ibiza, I'm probably going to be the biggest dude there. So that's box ticked. But then if I go into a two bro show and I don't want to be looking shit. So therefore, I need to have a look upon what I'm doing, be honest with myself, drop my ego, and think, right, how can I improve this? Probably by doing A, B, or C.
Mm. Yeah, that's it. It's you know, we're athletes, right? And we're coaches. So I just think, why wouldn't you want to learn how to do things the best way possible? It's just knowledge as well. It's like I then enjoy like teaching others, but like you say, you got to walk before you can run. Like you've got to train hard first. Like that's just the plain and
Yeah,
simple
we've all
thing.
walked that story, haven't we? Like when we were younger, we threw weights about, we pissed around. Even did it partially when we were like, even coming up to, I mean, I'm more smart training now than I was, let's say, even a year ago. This is year on year
Yeah,
progression, isn't it? It takes time
Yeah,
to
it
learn
is.
that edge. I mean, out of all, I think Joe trains the most controlled, smart.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
honestly, like his Joe's training. I've seen develop from that aspect. I saw it when you were doing like 6 plates and a hack squat, then going on to two. That's why I asked the question to you, didn't I, ages ago? And then you took knee sleeves off and went back down. I was like, why are you doing this for? So, I knew
The
there's not
goal is now, mate. The goal is now to get back to what I was squatting there
with that
with
form.
control.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not some. The way I'm training, yeah, it's control this. I'm not training like a bitch. I'm training fucking hard, and I'm taking the sets all the way, right? But it's like what I want to do is get back to where I was. Like if I can, and also my hack squats, one of the last exercises on my leg day. Just so it's like I've got arms, because my leg days are arms as well. It's got like a bi and a tri exercise. Then it's uh, hand curl, leg extension, 2 sets of pivot, 2 sets of hack, 2 sets of deadlift. So like at the end there, my everything's warmed up nicely, right? So my goal is like when I got the knee injury, I was doing a adductor, then straight into a hack.
Right. Yeah.
So my goal is to like get my hacks back to the same sort of weight, like 5.5 on the side on a hack, or maybe even 6. You never know. But at the end of the session, with crazy control, that is like literally progress, plain and simple.
It
Yeah.
reminds me of like what I'm doing, like with my, because I was doing like a bodyweight sissy squat right at the end. Don't know why it's doing a thumbs up. And I was like, right, this is almost like a bit too easy. It feels like I'm just like doing like a bit of metabolic work for just the sake of it. So I was like, right, why don't I just put in like a Cybex hack sissy squat? I once did 6 or 7 plates with a reverse band when that was like a new craze, etc. And I was like, well, I got that for a set of 5. If I can get close with a sissy squat with probably too much knee flexion, I'm probably gonna have pretty decent quads by the time I do that. If I have the same level of control. Um, but then it was also a case where, yeah, that's going to take a lot of time, but I've got a lot of time to do it. And I think people almost just try to rush through a lot of things. They're like, well, I can, again, like I mentioned probably about 20 minutes ago, I was like, people almost think, well, oh, I feel good, so again, I can add another 5 kilos. Or you can feel good and add 1 kilo, 1.5 kilo,
Yeah.
and get a lot
And I'm
more.
a big believer on like not sometimes I'm looking at my logbook from week before and looking at the video, I'm like, I'm not 100% happy with that. I might, from week to week, especially when it's going to be peak off season, say a hack spot, whatever, it's like 4.5 plates aside for 10. I might get that again, 4.5 for 10. But when I look at the form back, it's way better control. Like
Yeah.
just because you haven't gone up in a rep or haven't gone up in weight, it doesn't mean you haven't progressed. It's just a stimulus. Like we're trying to progress a stimulus here. It's called progressive overload, but it doesn't have to be load. It's just a stimulus. It should be progressive stimulus, really.
Yeah.
Then
Change.
has kind of sting to it, though, does it? It doesn't
No,
roll off the tongue.
progressive stim.
Yeah.
But
Straight
it's never
stim.
going to catch on that.
Change subject a little bit then. So, what's been like I mean, the comparison between your men's physique competing season and your classic physique competing season? I mean, it's quite funny because I guess maybe the shows themselves were a little bit more chaotic, let's say, the one that you did. Yeah, what was it?
Milan,
Was it
definitely.
Milan? Yeah, tell that story as well. But what's the difference between your personal experience in the categories, the preps,
Um,
everything?
Luckily for me, both experiences were absolutely amazing. Like super enjoyable. Like for me, prep for me is very fun. Luckily for me, I don't have to suck ass on like super low food. Um, so my first prep, the men's physique prep, was only for the first regional where I won the overall men's physique. Was 9 weeks
Mad.
because I just came in very quick and we weren't doing like a rapid fatness protocol. I was on like 400 carb, like maybe 40 minutes of cardio max. And we brought T3 and T4 in like 2 weeks out. Um, but I hadn't competed before, so that was my first ever show. So we were like, oh, like Ross was like, we're coming in very quick. Like this show. Do you want to just push on and like get some stage experience to then do later shows? So we went and I won the overall. So we were like, well, there's no point doing another regional. So then we went to Alicante, where I got second in my class, which is that Alicante. So it was really fun. Like the whole experience, it was like I was on holiday, but competed. It was really, really enjoyable. Whereas Milan was the complete opposite experience. That was like hell on earth, to be honest. Maybe I'll go into that slide.
Yeah. Go into like
bro, Joe's Milan story, bro. It's fuck. I was watching his stories and it was just update after update. I was like, I felt so bad.
Honestly, at the time, I didn't even want to talk about it. When I was there, right, let me just go through it. So,
yes, I don't think I've heard this.
So this was my second show. So I'd done the regional and got first in my class. So then we were like, right, time to go to Milan. Milan was the amateur Olympia.
This is classic.
So
Right?
Classic, yeah.
Classic, yeah. So this is this prep. So it was amateur Olympia. So it was 3 pro cards up for grabs per class. So obviously, I thought, well, as long as you get in the overall, sweet. Little did I know how many people were going to be there. So, anyways, the actual, difficulty of this experience started from day one. So, got to the airport. Now, I'm not complaining about delayed flights. We all get delayed flights, but my flight was delayed like 3 hours. So I sat in the airport for like 5 hours before even getting there, right? It was fine. Got my food, got my hydration, was keeping chill. I was like, do you know what? I don't care. Like, this is going to be a great weekend. I've got all set up. We'll just get there later. So whatever. Get to the Airbnb, right, after obviously traveling for like 7, 8 hours. And for some reason, to get in, you use this app, right? And you use this code that they've sent you to get into the front door. I'm in a new country, my phone's not got signal for some reason. So I'm just stood outside and I can't contact the fucking host because I got no signal. And I'm just stood out there like, what am I doing? And this just makes it worse. Like, obviously I'm on prep, so I just need a piss constantly because I'm shredded. So I get to the front door and I'm like, bro, I'm literally, how horrible any situation is if you're desperate for a piss, right? And I'm like literally looking at my phone, like, why have you not given me fucking signal? Like stress, like you really don't want the stress like when you're coming up for a show. So anyway, I just legged it down the end of the corridor and I just had to fucking run down the stairs and just as soon as I burst open the door, I just got it out and just started pissing. Like, bro, it's like a courtyard with like flux just facing me, but I was to that point, I was like, it's either gonna be in the corridor or out here. So anyways, get back there and I'm like using my phone up against the wall to get their Wi-Fi. And anyway, it's after like 30, 45 minutes I'm in. Flat had no hot water, the boiler was broken. They said they had a microwave, there's no microwave, so I can't weigh up, make cream of rice and whatnot. It's not the end of the world. And at that point, I was like, I'm in, I don't care, I'm happy. I can have a cold shower, I'm pretty hardy, right? So anyways, go to bed. It's like 8, 9 p.m. I'm like, fuck it. Tomorrow we're going registration. It's going to be a sick day. Right. Wake up. Every fucking place in Milan that you have to go to, it's like a 25 euro Uber. For some reason, it's just baseline. So like going Aldi is 25 euros, even though it's 10 minutes up the road. Because I'm trying to keep off my feet, right?
Yeah.
And it's like either like a 20-minute walk or like a 20-minute Uber because there's so much traffic. So anyway, everything's just hard. Like I can't just go to the shops. Like, I've got to get this 25 euro Uber and 25. So it's like 50 euros to go shops, which is just painful. Like it's just mental stress. So anyways, I put in on Uber Crown Plaza, which is the hotel that the show's at. Get to Crown Plaza after a 45-minute fucking taxi journey and 50 euros. And I go to the women, I'm like, oh, I'm here for the bodybuilding show. They're like, no, that's the other Crown Plaza. I'm like, oh, mate. So I was there in good time. So I would have been, you'll understand what I mean by in good time, because then I get another 45-minute Uber, another fucking 50 euros or something to the actual place. And I get there and like the queue's there. So I'm like an hour and a half later than I wanted to be. So I get to the queue and the queue's decent, like stand the one room and I'm like, okay, sweet. And I said to my, because I'm with my dad, right? Luckily he was there to keep my head somewhat level. I was like, go see how long that queue is. Because I thought to myself, right, I'd just eaten as I left, right? But then obviously this whole taxi situation and I brought one meal with me because I've never been to a registration ever where you're there for more than an hour, right? So I bought 1 meal with me. And apparently he was like, well, the queue is long, like it's down this room and you're in another room, all this. I was like, all right, we just got to do it, right? Stand in the queue, and then soon realized that this queue just ain't moving. Like it's moving like this.
Mm.
And I'm like, bro, I'm gonna be here for fucking hours. So I'm just laying on the floor every opportunity I get, and then obviously it's just shuffling forward, and I'm just like moving up like this. But obviously, like after a while, there's only you got to keep getting up and whatnot. Bro, I was in this queue for 3 hours, 3 fucking hours to get to the front to register, right? So I'm running low on food. Right, I get to the front after fucking 3 hours on my feet, okay, which is not what you want one day out from a show. You want to be laying down, right?
Yeah.
Get to the front, they hype me. I'm a centimeter lower than I'm supposed to be because I've been on my feet so much. So I'm overweight. So I'm over my cap by a fucking kilogram. I'm like, what am I going to do, mate? So I ring Cuba, and I've just been queuing for an hour, so I have to leave the queue. Ring Cuba, and he's like, bro, like, go get double espresso, like, have a shit. And I was like, I haven't really drunk and eaten that much either, because obviously I've been at this place, so there's not much to shit out. I'm hanging like off this fucking thing, trying to get my spine stretched. And and Cuba was like, is there any like showers there? Just go have a hot shower for like 30, 40, 45 minutes or whatever. So you're just sweating loads. So I asked this woman, she was like, oh, there's a sauna. I was like, no way, that's a touch. So, bro, I get in the sauna, right? Fully clothed, full tracksuit on. And I'm just sat in there, like, fucking sweating. And I'm like, bro, what am I doing? Like, I'm literally 1 day out from a show, like, just
Was there
feeling
other people with you?
dehydrated.
Was there other
Nah,
people
not in
with
a
you?
sauna.
Okay, I was gonna say, because imagine like, it's just like some naked dudes. Then you just walk in with like a full grey tracksuit.
No, it's like this small little box, and I'm just sat in there, like, just pissing with sweat. And I looked at my phone, I was like, how long to sit in a sauna to lose a kilogram? And it was like an hour or something. And I was like, fucking hell, mate. So I'm just sat in this sauna, like fully clothed, dripping, like just running off. And I'm just like getting well dizzy. Because obviously I've not had much food. I'm absolutely peeled, shredded, running low on fucking, I'm getting dehydrated. And I'm just sat there, head's going funny, head's going funny. And in my head, I'm just thinking, this is some fucking hardcore shit. Do you know what I mean? I was like, it's like a fighter. Like, but that is also it's the level of stress. I'm like, this is like the worst thing for my physique ever. Like, literally
So in
dehydrated
your head, are
and
you like
stressed.
in your head, are you like, okay, this is hard, but it's actually pretty cool. If I
Yeah,
pull
yeah,
this off,
exactly that. I was
yeah,
like, in my
like
head, I was like, it's more the stress. Like, I
yeah,
don't mind sitting in a sauna for a fucking hour. I'll do anything. I don't give a shit. But it's like, I know this is having a negative effect on my
Yeah.
physique. That was the stress. Anyways, after like 30 minutes, I'm like, bro, I'm about to fucking pass out here. So I got out, and there's scales in the gym, and I weighed in, and I was like, I'm 0.1 over. So I was like, right, let's just go see what happens. Well, I'm walking down. Obviously, imagine, right? With everyone looking fresh, like, turning up to registrations, like they've got the fresh clothing, like nice hair, bro. I'm walking through, and my hair is like this. It's like someone's throwing a fucking bucket of water at me. My tracksuit is just pissing with wet water. My eyes are bloodshot. My face is just like pure fucking gone. And I'm literally walking through like this. And I was like, I got to the back of the queue. I'm like, am I fuck queuing up again? Like, there is no chance, bro. So I just walked straight to the front of the queue. I was like, mate, just fucking measure me. I just sat in the thing I sat in the sauna for 30 minutes, measure me. And he was like, all right, all right. Measured me, and he heighted me in, and my height is correct, a centimeter above. So I didn't even have to fucking do that. He just did it incorrectly. Or the sauna somehow, I don't know how that would work, but I don't know how the sauna would fucking give me extra height. Maybe, I don't know. But anyways, all I was thinking was, thank fuck, right? So I'm done. Now, this is where is the worst part. It was like,
of
right, you're
course.
done there, checked in. And he goes, right, there's the queue to book the turn. I'm like, what? Bro, there's another queue for an hour to book the spray tan. And I'm stood there in pissing wet clothes, sweating, right? Everyone else is around me, like looking at me like I'm some freak. Because obviously everyone's just in normal clothes, fresh. Like I'm just stood there like someone's just fucking throwing a bucket of water over me, dying of fucking hunger and thirst. So I said to my dad, I was like, go get some fucking water because I've run out of water. And obviously, I bless my dad. Like, you know, can you imagine like what I was ordering him around like some madman? I was like just on a mission, mate. So, anyways, this is the worst part because I'm just stood there like sopping wet. Um, Anyways, get to the end of the queue and I get home and it's like 4 p.m. and I've only had like 2 meals and obviously dehydrated myself. Anyways, get to the end of the day and I've got all my meals in. I just lay on the bed and I'll just take all my sleep sups and I'll just try and fucking chill out. And I did get all my food in. I've got all the water in for the rest of that day. And somehow I woke up the next day and I was like, fucking hell, I actually look decent. Like the only problem was like the midsection was not as tight as I normally would have it because of all the stress and like having to, you know, get all the food in and the water. But then on the day, like, you know, they were like, obviously it's such a busy show, right? So in the day, I was trying to be very chilled. I was like, I need to relax. Like yesterday was so hard on the body. Like today, I just need to be laying there. They were like, go backstage. You're most likely going to be on around 3, 4 p.m. Mate, we're just laying there. There's just so many people. And there's like just, I don't know whether you've ever seen like the backstage of like a really busy show. There's just like hundreds of people. And I'm just laying in this little thing like this. Everyone's obviously speaking Spanish. I can't speak Spanish. So I'm like, when are we going on? And they're like, oh, they don't really speak English. So it's pretty stressful. But then Martin Winston was back there with one of his clients. So I kind of, you know, got in with him and he kind of told me what the time was. And bro, I didn't go on stage till like 7 p.m. It was so fucking difficult. It was more just managing the fluid, like how much do I drink? Like I don't want to blow my waist out, but I don't want to dehydrate. So when I look at my pictures, like in Milan, I know I drank a bit too much water probably because the waist, like the vacuum isn't quite as tight. But honestly, bro, when I look at those photos, I'm like, how the fuck do I actually look half decent? And then luckily, I got first call outs. Because, mate, if I went through all of that, spent all that money, went through all that stress, because what happened is you go on, and there was like, I think there was 21 of us, right? You go through, do all your mandatories, and then you all come off, and then they write on a piece of paper at backstage who got first call outs, top 5, right? And then if you're not top 5, you just fuck off home. Like, you're on stage for literally 1 minute, bro, before that. So like imagine going through all that and then I get on stage for like a minute and they're like, nah, bro, I'd have actually been in some bad way, mate. But luckily I was in top 5. So I was like, fuck, no matter what happens here, I'm not even expecting to win, bro, after all that. But at least I've got a top 5 and I get a medal. So yeah, I got 5th.
So
When I'm
Milan next
looking
year,
back,
then, yeah. So Milan next year.
mate, I will never fucking go back to Milan in my life. Shit on. No, I'm joking. If anyone's watching this from Milan.
I'm just going to make a note now. When I'm eventually good enough to not come dead last, don't go.
Do not go to
You know
Milan.
what? With the pro qualifiers abroad, like, I don't think I'll do one unless I'm like, mate, I'm turning pro here. Like, I'm so sick. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just such an upheaval, mate. Do you know what? I think I just chose the wrong show. When I went to Alicante, I was sick. I think I made a mistake by thinking, oh, there's 3 pro cards there, so I'm in for a good chance, which you are if you're very, very, very sick. But when you go to like the shows, like I don't know, in Switzerland or whatever, like yeah, there's only one pro card, but then there might only be like fuck all people there as well.
Yeah.
Whereas me, there was 21 people and there were some sick lads there as well.
And how much
So I'm just glad I
as
got
well,
fit.
isn't it? It's just that name of the show as well. Like, didn't Danny
Yeah.
didn't Danny do Amateur Olympia, Josh?
Yeah, he did Alicante, I think.
Did he? I think.
So the only saving grace was like, yeah, it was just like, yeah, it was such a busy show. There's some really sick lads there. It was my first classic pro qualifier. So I was like, I went in on the hardest possible thing, like, and I got, first call. So I can't
Bro,
really.
that was a fucking hard, mate. I'm not gonna lie. I think you have more chill than most. I think.
Mate, do you know what? I said to myself, I said, when it was going down, I was like, I just need to get through this. Like, there was points at that weekend. I was like, man, I'm just gonna fly home. Fuck this. Like, I'm not. Do you know what the issue is? Why I'm not gonna sit there and bitch and moan. Like, everyone goes through hard times with like preps and whatnot and like shows, but my issue was that I'm not pissed off and annoyed and gutted that I didn't win because I wasn't going. Obviously, you go there to win, right? That's the whole point. I wanted to just enjoy the experience
Yeah.
and think, yeah, that was sick. I didn't like get a pro card or I didn't win, but it was like, we compete because it's fun, right? I came away from that weekend not enjoying a single part of that trip because
Yeah.
it was just hard from start to finish. Everything was going wrong. So that was why I was gutted, bro. But look, all I take from it, I like to take a positive from every hard experience and just think, you know what? If I can get through that and get on stage and still look decent and keep my cool. And the main thing was when I come back home, right, I let myself be a bit down in the dumps for the travel home. As soon as I got back home, I'm back on my shit. I'm like, I ain't letting that beat me. I'm not going to be like down in the dumps, moody. Like,
Yeah.
I just got back on my meal plan. I didn't even have a fucking plan after that show. I was like, I just want to be better for the British finals. So any show after that, I'm like, it's going to be a piece of piss, mate.
Yeah, literally.
It can't be worse.
To be fair,
Then
do
the
you know,
British finals, bro. Then the British finals, like 2 weeks later, was the easiest lead up. Like, obviously, it was in Rotherham, which isn't too far from me. It was like an hour and a half drive. Got to the Airbnb, nice Airbnb. It was like 10-minute drive to the show the next day. I was like, bro, this is just so fucking easy. So the stress was just nothing.
mate, do you know heighting for shows, mate? I feel like they need to do something with height, like have three different people there to height you, I swear,
Mhm.
because
Lads, I
heighting
just need
is
to go
so.
toilet if you don't mind me for like 2 seconds.
Go on. I swear heighting, Josh, is so dodgy at shows, you
Yeah,
know.
there's
Like,
no way I'm 175.
you're probably 173, I reckon.
Fuck off. Well, I will be next. PC London next show will be.
Bro, imagine
Oh, by
being
the way, that's also set in stone now.
what is?
That show, PC London.
Is it?
I can only do that show
Are
if
you
I
in
want
the
to
are you
do
in the
well.
Welsh finals, whatever the fuck it is?
If I qualify for them, yeah. You got to qualify through British finals, haven't you?
Wait,
So
what?
yeah, it's just the world
Oh,
final.
is it the world? Is it world? Is it that
Yeah,
one?
they just put it in Wales because they got this new venue for PC Wales anyway.
Yeah, it's called Simru something, isn't it? Simru.
Cymru. It's a Welsh word. It's Wales in Welsh.
Well, I'm Welsh, but is that what it is? I say Simru.
Yeah.
For a
Yeah, but
reason.
basically if I want to do that show, I've got to get qualified at the British, and if I want to be good, I can't do a show too early than the British, so I have to do PC London.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Sorry,
Well,
Joe.
I don't know. I'm gonna
Sorry.
see.
We were just chatting about how I've just planned out the next 12 months of my
I,
life.
I, I think he's connected to AirPods again. You got his thinking face on.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't hear you for some reason. It's really annoying.
Let's keep talking shit. Bro, I haven't even looked at the calendar yet to look at what shows I want to do. You know, um, I'm still torn on whether I'm doing it or not. You know, I'm still torn, but
You're being tall, wouldn't you? You're being classic tall.
yeah, because you want to be against me. You'd probably smoke me, so it's fine.
I've seen someone that you'll be up against next year. But I can't remember the name.
Are they good? But yeah, but are they good? Would I be good enough to chance them?
You
Oh,
wouldn't be, it
I
wouldn't
love
be a
your,
challenge. You
I love
back.
your, I love your honesty. I appreciate it.
No, no, no. My honesty is being nice to you, Sam. Like it wouldn't be a challenge. You battered them.
Oh, oh, okay, that's all right then.
And you've been on gear significantly less time than them.
Yeah. Wait until mate, I start blasted next this Wednesday, I believe. Oh no, next Wednesday. Christmas. I do. Christmas
I
Day.
told you. I've started mine today.
Exciting time. Joe's having malfunctions right now.
We're back on. Currently on
No.
mute.
Can't hear you.
Mute. Hold on. Asked to unmute.
Oh yeah, unmute him.
I've asked him to unmute. Can't force it though.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I can hear you now, yeah.
It's a
You
bit
stay
quiet.
quiet again.
That clear, is it?
Yeah, it's clear. It's quiet, isn't it? Like last time.
Let me try one more time with that.
Oh no, it's actually it's better now. You come closer, to be fair.
All right, let me just talk like this, yeah?
Yeah, literally,
Yeah,
just get the Hanson right up and close, mate.
is that okay like that?
No, that's actually good, yeah.
That sound.
Or is the unprofessional manner, yeah?
We're just talking shit about you, bro. It's fine.
Yeah. Good.
We were saying what a pussy, mate. You should have got through that experience dead easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you know what, when I was the only funny thing about it is when I think back, I'm like, that is some story to tell, right?
People like, oh, I had to wait an hour for tanning. Fucking bullshit. You go, yeah,
Uh,
watch this
at
then. Watch this
at
fucking space.
the time, I just didn't want to talk about it either. Like when it was going down, I didn't put it on my story or anything. So I was like, I just don't. I obviously spoke about it afterwards, but I was like, I just can't even be. And now, like when I'm telling the story, obviously I'm telling it on a podcast. But when people ask me, like, how was Milan? Like when I got back, I was like, I just don't want to talk about it because it was
Yeah.
so fucking
It's so
stressful.
shit.
I was like, just don't ask me. It was shit.
But it will make every other experience seem so much fucking easier now. Because even like when I competed this year, I was sat, it was a hot day and tanning, base coat, and I shit you not, I was stood around for about an hour and a half waiting to wait to be dry, like ages waiting to dry off. And I was like,
I've never, everyone seems to have, I've never had that. I've literally been, as soon as I'm going to get tanned, it's like 20, 30 minutes, I'm done.
nah, bro, legit. Like I was there in the queue for about an hour, waiting an hour and a half to dry off. And I was like, you know what, fuck you guys. I ain't waiting for you to dab me up and dry me off. I'm going outside to dry off because I ain't standing around here with knobs in my face. I'll be honest.
I
Um,
think like the actual day of competing, the day is okay, but bro, the lead up to it is my least favorite thing about bodybuilding.
day before show, mate. Fuck me.
Is
It's just like
I prefer the morning of like the first half of like the day before a show because you've like a carb up genuinely annoys me because I'm worrying like right, am I gonna overspill? Am I gonna be still flat? Are we gonna get enough food in whatever? I like it when I wake up a day before a show, I'm full, and then I'm like, right, cool, I've just got 4 or 5 meals of chicken and almond butter to eat, and that's it. And it's just more relaxing
I
for me.
do, yeah, bro. I hate, do you know what? Is when on the day before a show, I look like fucking ass, mate.
I know
Like,
I look shit
do you know
because
when you know your water loading and you look under your photos and you're going, fuck me, this is fucked right
you know
now.
what, lads, I had a pretty different experience this year with my peak. We didn't really do this like like
Was it linear for you?
yeah, it was like I was done with fat loss 2 weeks out from my regional, right? And we just started bringing food up to around, just around maintenance or maybe just over a slight surplus, right? And just brought steps right down. I didn't have any cardio anyway, so and we just got fresher and fresher and fresher and fresher. And like that, the days leading into the show, bro, my food did not change. It was just the same. Um, it was obviously high. It was like I think
Mm.
it was like 4,500 calories or something, but like it was the same for that 2 weeks. And then obviously I'll come back from the first regional, the same. My food just stayed the same until the next pro qual, and then the same till that next pro qual. For that 6 week period, my food was the exact same. Obviously, like the days lead the close days leading into the shows, it was like drop the volume. So like, you know, get rid of berries or get whatever and like introduce honey and but the macros stayed the same. And what I found was I was just getting fresher and fresher and like I was filling up but gradually, so the waist was staying tight. And I actually really like that approach because it's so predictable. Like I'm not going to wake up spilled or this, and my water just stayed the exact same. Like
Yeah.
the day before, I actually had 2 liters less just to keep the waist tight. So it was just super predictable, and I was like, there was real low stress going into it.
Mate, I was looking at doing a linear load with Josh. But just from people around me, I was like, "Do you know what? I'm gonna stick to what I've been through and worked the best for me and what I kind of went off. And it did work for Josh, to be fair. But going into maybe when he's closer to his cap, which is going to be next year, because he's fucked me, even his cap this year was fucked. Getting close to that. I mean, that day before his two bros debut this year was fuck me. I was all over him trying to make sure that his weigh in was like bob on, mate.
Yeah.
Had to cut his water
If he
well.
was like legit fucking skinless peeled, he'd be under it though, wouldn't
Yeah, so yeah, like basically next year with a bit more on him, I might end up looking at a linear low and doing some more research into it
he?
and
Yeah.
going from there. But we'll have a better prep next year because he won't be going to Bali prior to his prep, so we'll have a bit more time. Typical Josh fashion that is going to Bali before his prep. Yeah, it's great.
He's a young lad though, isn't he? So
Yeah, I love him, mate. He's great.
So
But
to finish off, what I thought would be good, unless you got Sam, do you get any questions?
I got fuck all questions. I got nothing, no questions, mate.
What
Besides,
I thought would be quite good is what's your like immediate, not maybe not immediate, but like plans competing wise, where do you want to be in like the next year, 2, 3 years?
bro, I want to be turning pro next year, and that's not.
Competing again next year.
Yeah, I'm going again next year because the reason why I'm not in a rush to turn pro for
for like, or like status, whatever. Like, I love doing what I'm doing. I love my daily tasks. Like, I'm doing good with coaching and whatnot without being pro. So to me, I love the chase. But the reason why I'm pretty desperate to turn pro is I want that weight increase.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to be capping myself short of progression to stay within a weight cap. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I get another 4 or 5 kilos of stage weight, I'm like happy days, mate. And
Yeah.
I can just send a big off season and take a year off, most likely. So for me, I'll probably be pretty damn close to my cap next year, right? So I'm going to be wanting to turn pro. Because this year, to be fair, like say my weight cap, if they actually hype me in right, was 111.6 kilos, right? And at my regional, I think I was around 108, 109.
Mm.
Okay. So that was obviously 2 weeks of filling, but I could have been fuller. So when I actually was then like at my British finals weight, where I'd literally been filling for 6 weeks, I was 111 on the dot. So like, yeah, you could say I'm at my cap, but that was after fucking filling for 6 weeks, right? So like, if I really wanted to suck down and make weight, bro, I'd be able to do it easy, but I don't want to have to do that. Like,
Yeah.
Just
uh,
take a portable inversion board with you, right? You'll be fine.
yeah, mate, I'll be grand next year for sure. But like, I then want another massive off season, right? I don't like.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's tough to because that is the only thing with capped, isn't it? Like again, if I mean Josh next year, if we don't really get it next year, then he's gonna have to probably hold off a little bit because I mean next year he'll be on his cap next year 100%.
He's not doing loads of drugs either. That's the thing with me right now. Like, I'm only doing 300 tests, 100 primo, and I'm fucking growing. So like for right now, I'm just holding it there.
Is that a cruise right now, or is it?
Yeah, it's a cruise, and I'm just waiting to my. I got my lipids back, all my blood work, and everything was fine, but my blood pressure's quite high. Like the thing is, I went from that really hard off season where, bro, I pushed that off season to the limit to the point where I was
You're a
throwing
big
up.
cunt.
Like,
You're a fucking
yeah,
big cunt.
and I was 124 kilos, and I felt like utter shit, mate. Like was miserable. So I know that's the only good thing about that. Like I know I could not have done anything more that off season, bro. I could not eat anymore. I ate to the point I was throwing up for days and days. So then, obviously, then we did like a 5 week cruise where I was still super physiological. Let's face it, right? And then I went into that prep, 6 month prep. So like, I need some time off. But the thing is, like, what am I now? 8 weeks post show, 300 tests, 100 primo. I finished prep at like 111. I'm now 119, and my glutes are still in.
Yeah.
And I've packed, so that means tissue gained, right? And I'm on low drugs. So right now, I'm just leaning. I just want to like, I just, I'm enjoying making gains on low drugs because I'm like, you don't need high drugs. Obviously, it helps, but I just like making progress with sick training
Yeah.
and sick adherence day to day of my daily routine.
I
Yeah.
do find that's almost like a bit of like a scapegoat, which I think a lot of people push. It's almost like, well, I'm on TRT, so I can't make any progress at all.
100%. This is
It's so annoying. And then I'll be like, but why can't you? The naturals do it I say the naturals if it's like type of
I
people.
made fucking progress when I was natural.
Yeah.
Trust me, I can make progress on
Yeah,
300.
and it's like, okay, yeah, it might be a bit slower. You're not going to add as much as you would. But like, I remember, like, from when I finished like my rebound until only just now when I've gone back on blast, I'm like, well, I progressed my dumbbells by like 10 kilos aside. I progressed my leg press by like 2 to 3 plates, and I was like, and my execution stayed the same. I'm like, so you can. It's just where people almost want to have like a bit of like a blanket over it.
Yeah. And
Like,
post show as well. Like,
yeah,
to be fair, like I had a bit of a unique experience where obviously I come out the end of my shows after filling for 6 weeks. I was I was obviously shredded, pilled, but I was quite fresh, right? So I pretty much was in the gym the next day, so I kind of catapulted off that. But yeah, I think a lot you say, like a lot of people, it's like I'm on a cruise, so they just get in this headspace that you can't make gains. So, bro, you're still fucking super physiological for like 3 of those weeks. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't just stop jabbing and your test is gone.
I
Like,
think one thing as well, though, in it is like, with high drug usage potentially, is that you obviously induce a lot of stress onto your body. And sometimes just pulling it back, when you bring that stress down internally, your body reaps off of that. So even when you go from, for me especially, my GI tract is fucking awful, like absolutely awful. So peak off season, I just don't make as much progress as I want to. Pushing and pulling more frequently for me is way better, making my GI tract better. Going into diet phase, pulling that GI tract a bit down, pulling them stresses off your body, mate. The growth that I make of pulling a bit of stress off of me internally, I make more growth. So same with drugs, pull that stress off, and you just end up growing more. So it's
when the
fine.
drugs are too high and your health is fucked, what does that fuck up? Your digestion, your sleep, your mental well-being, stress on the body, all things that interfere with making progress.
Exactly.
So it's the same with like when people run really high train, it's like, yeah, it might be making you strong, but your sleep's fucked and you can't eat properly.
I always
But
get the
yeah,
question like, oh, what oils are the best to use in like in a gaining phase in off season? I'm like, fucking none. So
Zero.
annoying.
right.
Like I'm not too sure. Like I say it's a term. It's not a really a term, but obviously I'm from Cardiff, so Wales, and we use the term just Welsh bodybuilders if they're completely different to everyone else because they're literally like, right, I'm going to get some D-bol, I'll get some test, and like anything that's oral, they'll throw in because they're like, oh, it's just easier to do, and they'll just start on it. I'm like, what the fuck? And like
Yeah, imagine taking Superdrol when you're eating like 5,000 calories, you'd be shitting yourself.
yeah, I remember the first, to be fair, not the first time I've used it because I used it last year, but it was just really underdosed. And then when I used it like this year, I was like, fuck me, like you can actually feel your body just fit, like literally feel it thing up, and I was like, this feels great. I'd hate it in off season. Yeah, it
Bro,
feels.
do you know what? When I was like, my fat loss was done, right? And I went to Rotherham. This was the day I went to see Kuba at Ultraflex. And I was 2 weeks out, and it was the day the fat loss ended. And he put Winstrol in. And I took it before I got to the gym. Bro, when I got to the gym, my physique was changed straight away. Like so grainy, grainier than I've ever seen it. Like so fucking dry. It was like I had sand under my skin. And I was like, it's mad how like the orals just have an
Yeah.
instant effect.
Yeah.
I remember I changed the lab from one to like the one which I was mainly using throughout prep for a winch rod as well, and I was like, it looks like I've just put it in.
Literally.
I wasn't using it before. So
Winnie is so cool, man. I fucking
yeah,
love
and I was like,
it.
that's pretty cool.
It's such a bro thing, but he's just so fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
I remember I messaged him and I was like, mate, Winchell's just so cool, isn't it? He was like, if you pose it, I was like, nah. I was like, I've already got to the gym.
Oh, mate. Yeah, it's probably fucked my hairline though.
That's why
That prep's actually done my hair in. Like my hairline's still okay, but it's like thinning in the back and it's way thinner, bro. But obviously I was on prep for 6 months.
yeah.
And also I was running like super high DHT compared to my test. So like my estrogen was probably just through the floor. Like
Do you notice it comes back post prep at all?
not yet.
Because
Luckily my hairline's sweet. I usually on minoxidil on the hairline. It's
oh
just
yeah,
like when I'm sweating and my hair was like really short, yeah, I could see like my crown in the back, which I've never seen before. And I was
yeah.
like, oh, that's progress
It's,
or
yeah,
regression.
the wrong progress you want to see. Like
Yeah.
I'll notice that like I have like a bit more hair coming out like when I shower, etc. So I'll get really, really like, upset. I'll get like, really in my head about it. I'll be like, I can't see anything moving, but then I'll just spray it anyway. But then I'll forget to take that. I'll take the finasteride. But then luckily after last year and this year, by the time like December comes around, it goes back to normal a bit.
Yeah, it
Then I
should.
stop ordering.
I think now my sleep's getting a bit better, and
Yeah.
I've had say 8 weeks where my body's a bit more healthy. It should be all right.
Yeah, when I get to like peak off season and start pushing drugs again, that's when I'll reorder the minoxidil, etc. I'm like, I don't need it now because it's fine.
Oh, mate, you need to. You have to be
I need to stay on
consistent.
it. I need to stay on it.
If
Bro,
this
I've
is the
been
pod,
taking that now for 3 years, every single day. And my hairline, because I remember when I first moved to Manchester and I was like maybe a year or two into taking gear, I was like so paranoid about my hair. I remember I was with Cam and when I did my photo shoot in 2022, and I was only on like 300 tests, maybe a little bit of Anavar because I was like shit scared I was going to lose my hair because my hair was going back. And I started taking that minoxidil, and ever since then it actually stayed. So it pressed back like really quickly, but then with the minoxidil, it kind of stayed where it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
minoxidil works really well. It's actually like surprisingly cheap as well.
Yeah, you just got. It's like one of them slow burners, like you just have in the
It's just
background.
a pain in it to actually spray on.
Yeah, and it's one of them ones that it's just they've got enough shit to remember, man. Like all the jabs. Like when I was on prep, God, that was one of the best things about finishing prep, like not jabbing so much.
Because you're a daily, aren't you? Like me, you do daily.
Daily, so I was doing like slim, and I was doing GH 3 times a day. So it was like 3 IU in first thing AM, 3 pre-training, 3 at night time. Then I did 2 gear jabs because I do them in insulin pins. So I'm like jabbing myself.
Yeah.
And then I was doing L-carnitine at one point. It's like I stopped that because I just couldn't be fucked to jab it anymore. I just wasn't seeing the like difference enough to jab again. So it was like 6, 7 jabs a day, mate.
Oh,
I remember when we put Slin in for like literally about a week when I was like throughout my rebound. I was like, it got to the point I was like, I'm pinning twice a day for gear because I was using the slim pins. I'm pinning Nova Rapid twice, Lantus once, L-carnitine. I was like, I can't be fucking bothered.
And
I pinned like seven
the
times.
worst thing about bodybuilding, bro. Three,
Mate, I love a cruise sometimes because I just pin twice a week.
yeah. I the only problem with that is I get a bit of acne, but the worst things about bodybuilding is one, jabbing,
Yeah.
two, shaving my fucking back.
oh.
Or your whole body, like
Shaving in
legs,
general, mate. Fuck that.
legs, yeah,
I
like
thing is, I forget that because I only really shave when I'm prepping.
yeah.
And it comes around.
And
I
also
leave
like
my
when
legs
you
hairy.
travel, mate, when you travel and you got to take your fucking life with you for like 2 days. Like I stayed over for a client show and I was like, literally my whole corridor was just like bags and stuff. I'm like, bro, I'm there overnight. What the fuck?
Your sups, your pins, mate. Ah, it's fucking. It's luckily, I'm still babying this stuff, so I'm only do once per day. So until
Yeah.
Christine goes, until literally next Wednesday goes, right, now we're dropping more in sound. So
And then we all force you to prep again next year.
yeah, I'm gonna get forced to prep next year.
Oh, Sam, do the same shows as me. Come on.
I'm taller than you. I won't even be competing against you.
Yeah, but that'll be fine. We can just have the same Airbnb. It'd be nice and cute.
Fuck that. I must sit with this lunatic, mate, in a fucking Airbnb. You'll do my head in on the day before the show, mate. You'll be rabbiting my ear off.
That was actually a really sick experience where I stayed with Jim, like my trainer, because obviously my training partner, we competed at the same show, Rotherham and sorry, at the regional and then the Rotherham British finals. Such a cool experience, just going through the whole of prep, like training together,
Mhm.
obviously the whole off season together, and then actually competing together as well. It's just pretty damn cool, to be fair.
You're giving Josh ideas now, aren't you, Josh? He's gonna convince me now after this. Be like, right, can you do the same show as me, please? I'm not doing London. Fuck that. That's too far from me. I can't be asked to do London, lad.
Oh,
Wait,
Maidenhead is such a mission, bro.
It's so long, bro. Just I went on. I drove down to Josh's show to then get a speeding ticket and all sorts. It's just
Oh,
fantastic. Love
I
it,
don't know
mate.
how they do it there. There's like more bodybuilders up here, surely.
Yeah, it's fucking. It's actually. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they do it down there. Because I think how was the Rotherham show good? By two.
Rotherham show was actually really cool, to be fair. The stage was so sick 'cause it's like all black. So like when people take like a photo of you or like video, like it looks really professional because the back
it
is
looked a lot
Oh,
cleaner. It
I
looked
think Maidenhead's shit. I think it's actually got a bit ass. Like I just.
loads center in it.
Yeah, I think it's just like there's so
that
many.
was another stressor, bro. Fuck me. When I got to the regional, because we're like from coming from Manchester to Maidenhead, with me and Jim were driving there, and we would check with the. For me, my plan was right. I showered here, right, and I still put deodorant on that because it's like a long drive, and I was like, I don't want to be stinking up in the car. And then I was going to get to the Airbnb, shower, and then go to the show. Anyways, this travel took 7 hours because we were pissing constantly, and I was like weighing myself every hour. Um, and then and we were like, right, let's just go straight to the fucking venue and get tanned because it was like 6 p.m. And then I realized I got deodorant on and moisturizer on a shit, which you can't get a tan on. And I was like, said to the women, I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, I can't go back to the Airbnb. She was like, your bookings now, like the girls are coming. And they were like, oh, there's a showers like in the swimming pool. So I had to just like go and get showered, like use my fucking t-shirt as a towel.
All these kids with armbands going, who's that?
Yeah. Oh
Who's
God.
that guy?
That was stress as well, to be fair. Fuck me.
But no, honestly though, like although Two Bros is the way for your pro card, PCA are stepping up their game with what they're trying to do in the industry. I'll be honest, they're doing
That
very well
shows
for
are
their
really fun,
shows.
man. Like,
Yeah, they're doing really well.
you know
And
what I really like about their shows is the crowd goes wild.
bro, honestly, Two Bros, mate.
Only some. Only some.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like if it's like for example, like Wales, right? Because it's the only one which they do in Wales. A lot of the people, if you're from there as well, you'll know people from like gyms, etc. But then I go to Birmingham, no one knows me, no one said a word, no
Yeah.
one cheered me whatsoever when I did my routine, apart from like my mate Tom. But that was literally it. But then you go to like maybe like the ones like Scotland or the ones a bit out there a bit more. Everyone cheers because more people kind of know
Yeah.
them.
I found
The
like
overalls are
everyone,
wild though.
like in the PCA shows, everyone cheers for everyone. Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, my
It's got a
partner
lot
was
better
there, and I was
atmosphere.
literally screaming, mate. And then at the Two Bros one, I almost felt a bit awkward. So I
Bro,
was
I got told to shush at the Two Pros one for Josh. I got
bro,
told to,
fucking
I was
shout.
telling him, I was telling him to put his glutes on and stuff, and like just say normal things you do as a coach. And they said, "Can you quiet in the back, please?" I was like, "The fuck I'm meant to do here? Just sit there and just say fuck all."
Library.
Yeah, fucking robbery that, mate, isn't it? Trying to be some politics shit, bruv. But no, I don't know. I think Two Bros do need to step up and start changing menu a little bit. I think they need to move up, like go Rotherham again, do something like that because,
The
like,
Wigan one's all right.
which one?
The Wigan one, I think, is all right because it's quite near most people.
Oh, is there a Wigan one? Is there?
Yeah, the Wigan one I've been to a couple of times. It's actually decent. It's in a church, I think.
They need to. I think Maidenhead's a bit washed now. They need to change it up and start getting out there a bit more because I think PCR are doing a fucking great job of taking off a lot of. I think you literally only go to Two Bros when you are trying to get your pro card.
And it's yeah, that's the thing. It's like the PCA shows are cool, but I'm not doing one because a lot of
Exactly because you're trying to go for a pro card, so it's Maidenhead for you, really, isn't it? Like all the time.
yeah,
Either that or Milan.
mate, I'd rather kill myself and do that again.
I think that's a great place to end it. To be fair, isn't it? So,
Bro, I'm 2 hours late for my meal. Damn.
About half of it, fuck
I'm not
me.
locked in. This is my first time of being that late on a meal in months. All for a good cause.
sorry, Cuba.
Well, thank you for coming on, mate. It's actually been really, really good.
Mate, we could chat forever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was like, oh, mate, this is going for like halfway through. I was like, oh, mate, I could see you for another 3 hours.
You know
legit.
what? Like when I've you watch like a podcast with say like Joe Rogan or Chris Williamson and they're chatting for like 4 hours. I'm like, how do they do that?
Yeah.
But then when you actually do it like this, like there's endless shit to talk about, bro.
Bro, we're so I think our podcasts are good at just being so unfiltered and just I don't know, we just talk fucking shit, don't we, bro? So
Many more topics we could talk about, so maybe another time.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's why, like, kind of like, as much as like I don't mind getting questions from people, I kind of like it. We just have like just sit down, have a general sort of chat. It was like,
Yeah, we haven't even done the question.
yeah, I was like, before we even like started filming, I was like, we could have just started for like, obviously, there's probably like one or two things which, like, for example, I was saying like, is there anything you don't want on the podcast, etc. But like, generally speaking, like, I kind of like it. We just jump on a call and just chat as mates. I think it
Yeah,
works really well.
the best. That's what people want to listen to. When it's
It's
too
I think some podcasts there are places for it. When it gets way too educational, I think it's just like, mate, just let's just get to know about somebody and their funny stories. Simple as that.
yeah,
So
like fucking crying in a sauna.
yeah, bro. I don't think it was the crying. It's sort of you just. I can just imagine you, the 6'3" bloke, piss wet clothes, walk past everyone giving you the look, and it's just
Oh no.
dripping. I'm just like, bro,
I
that's
must have looked like a fucking maniac, to be honest. Like this, but why I was embarrassed. Well, we need to end it, but why I was embarrassed because I was like, people don't know I was in a sauna. Like they're just looking at me like pissing with sweat. They're like, what is this guy taking? Like, how much Clen is this guy on? Like, it just made me look ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? Like, why are you sweating that much, bro? Like, how much DMP are you taking?
to this day, this Joe's on a fucking Milan wanted list, mate, for being a maniac, mate. He's wanted by the police in Milan. That's why
Yeah.
he's not going back.
To be fair, you know what it is. You know what, at Christmas this year, one Italian household in Milan, they'd just be like, "Do you remember that really tall dude from like England? And he was just drenched in sweat at that show." And you're just gonna be like that one weird person in people's memories.
Creating memories and stories. I feel like with stuff like that, like, yeah, it's horrible to go through, but it's a story I'll tell for the rest of my life. And
You'll
like,
always remember it.
I
And
mean,
it's,
talk
to be
about
fair,
it.
the closest thing I have is about a day out before my first show. I had literally had my first ever base coat, and I just pissed myself in it because I was water loading. That's the closest
What?
I got. And I was on the edge of tears. I was like, what? I was like just angry and upset. But I was like, it's actually quite funny.
Hey, I know the feeling, bro, because when you're that late in prep, I
You,
just
you
need,
actually can't hold it either, and you can't predict it.
Yeah, you can't.
bro, I'll
Yeah.
go out for steps for like 30-minute steps and I need the toilet about 3, 4 times. I'm pissing up alleys. I'm like, what is wrong with me?
Oh
Like,
no, I've got like a set piss point on my walk.
yeah. I
I've
had a
never
point where I almost pissed myself. Like I was coming back from the shops and I was like, bro, like I'm actually gonna piss myself. I was like, I'm just gonna get to my flat. Like it's okay, it's okay. But there was it's this part of the walk where there's no way you can stop because it's a main road, and I just started running because I was like, I'm gonna piss myself. Got into my lobby, right? Go to the toilet. It's out of order for the first time I've ever seen it out of order. So I get in the elevator and I'm like, like pressing the thing, and then someone else comes in. I'm like, no, hurry up. And then I got into the elevator and they got out at 1 and I was like 7. And I was like, I had this mad thought in my head, like, do I just piss in the elevator? Like, what, like, because obviously it just controls your mind. You can't think of anything else. I was like, nah, fuck this. Went back down to the ground and just legged it through the lobby and just, the doors open. I just went on the pathway. People driving past, people walking past. And the next day I come out to do my steps at 7 in the morning and the bloke's got the jet wash just blowing the front in the front of the flats.
100%. I'll get this done quick. That reminds me of I don't even think I ever said this on a podcast. It was about 10 days out from my second show this year. I'm driving home from the gym. I've taken a different route. It's through like the city centre. So like traffic's horrendous. It's like 5 p.m. And I'm like, I need a piss. It's like a 15-minute drive, but it's like, if you've got to drive, but like the traffic's moving fine, you're always moving, you're like, okay, it's gonna be fine. But if you just sat there and waiting, it's
Oh, mate.
so where I'm driving is like where there's loads of uni students. So I was like, right, there'll be a pub somewhere. There'll be somewhere open I can go for a piss. There wasn't. So I turned down an alley and I was like, right, let me just jump out and find a place for a piss. There's one place, but it's got a camera. So I was like, well, I'm not doing that. So I just went up to the first door I could find. It's like some uni student. It's this girl who's probably like 19, bless her. And I was like, I'm really sorry. You don't know who I am, but can I use your toilet? She was like, yeah, it's fine.
Hey, you're lucky she's said that.
I
Mate.
was like, thank you so much.
Why
Well,
didn't you go up the side of the building?
Because I went to the side of the building, but there was like a train station next to it and like a camera. And I was like, what if they get my number plate? And I don't know. When you start thinking, I was like, I don't want to get in trouble for this.
Bro, the amount of public places I piss now, I almost like I like lose the you think like that's actually really bad. Do you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
whipping it out on the street, but sometimes like you said, like the panic is just next level. Like
I think
driving,
You
you're
get like
stuck
sweaty hands about it.
yeah, like when you're stuck in like gridlock traffic, bro, it's like it enhances it by
I
like
think when you try to like think, right, don't let's not think about it. It makes it worse. Like I try and put the music up higher to try
I
and
know, I
distract
turn the music,
myself.
I do the opposite. I turn the music down.
yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, it's so bad, bro. And you're going through all these things like, what if I just jump out here? Can I just do it then? Like all the fucking things like oh
Hazards on the motorway. Fuck it. Let's just piss here in the middle of the, yeah. Yeah, we could do
I
that.
did go on the hard shoulder before and the police went past and they went "Bah," but then it's like saying warning me like fucking don't do
Thing is,
that.
though, like, in reality, like what else can you do?
The
I know
I,
Like
the
surely
bottle
surely
jobs.
we're
anyone
not the only surely we're like there's normal people who are just dying for a piss as well.
yeah, anyone who's been through it will be like,
There
yeah,
needs to be an invention, I think, for like like a car, like a funnel where you just put your knob into and you put it into a bottle or something. There needs to be something like that.
I think it just should be the public norm that you can just piss in your pants.
Right,
Right,
that's
that's
a
not
Right, that's a really good to end on.
Clip
right.
that.
New law. Gil wants to piss his pants. Fuck's sake. Gil Gann wants to piss his
Imagine like how easy that would be. Like it's not frowned upon to just shit your pants. Oh mate, I need to get my food, bro. So I'm gonna have to.
Right,
Yeah,
thank you
well,
very much for going on, mate. It's actually really, really good. What we'll do, we'll leave your Instagram just below and your YouTube as well. Do you upload today, or was it like a week or so
2
ago?
days ago, I'm gonna be doing one a week now again.
Yeah, so YouTube be down there as well. Any story tags will be greatly appreciated. Drop Joe a follow, and if you made it this far, just comment piss,
Yeah.
and that'll be great. So
Legalized
thank you
pissing
very
in
much,
public.
and we'll see you in the next one.